Welcome back to New Hints and Theories video. My name is Julia, this is the mole, and we together will help you figure out who the mole and this the mole is by sharing hints and theories with you. This time about episode number 6. And yeah, this time, compared to last time, one of the candidates had to leave the game, and it was Nienke. I have to be honest, I didn't really see her as a mole, so yeah, I'm not surprised that she's out of the game. But I think she was a nice candidate, so yeah, it's a bit of a pity that she had to leave the group. Nonetheless, before she left, she of course also participated in the tasks of this episode, so let's quickly talk about assignment number 1. In this one, we watched the group having dinner, and one of the candidates had a special task. We know now that it was Bram. And yeah, let's quickly start with talking about Bram. Because the question is, if Bram's the mole, is Bram the mole, and did the mole give the special task to himself? I mean, of course, it's a possibility, but then again, would be a bit boring, or? I mean, in the end, the mole's goal is that there is no money added to the pot, and we know that Bram needed to succeed so that there would be no money added. But then again, yeah, would you do that? I mean, for the show, it's more interesting if the mole isn't in that position. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. And there's an interesting thing, which we can see in the scene when Bram finds this envelope in his hotel room. So in the beginning of the show, we see that the mole puts the envelope under his door. And there we get to see that the mole logo is in the upper left corner of the envelope. And then later on we see Bram finding this envelope in his room. And then from this angle, the mole logo would have been on the right side. But it wasn't. It was again on the upper left corner. So it's obvious that this scene is staged. Because, I mean, the camera person had to get into his room. The question just is it staged because the camera person had to go into the room? And then Bram, of course, would have known that something is happening, or better said, Bram had seen the envelope before? Or is it staged because Bram's the mole and yeah, he had to film this one scene first before filming the second scene? Yeah, let me know what you think about it. But Bram wasn't the only interesting person this dinner here. We of course also had Milan here, and there was one really interesting scene with Milan because Nienke actually was the only one who had the right theory. She was like, Bram, you're saying so many phrases with the word I in it, that seems suspicious. And Milan's reaction to that is, that would be way too simple. In the end, it was the correct theory. So, but Milan's reaction kind of downplayed it, which of course the mole would like to do because the mole doesn't want Bram to get caught because then money would have been played into the pot. So yeah, Milan, that's definitely suspicious here. Then we also had Dan, who acted pretty weird. He was doing a lot of jokes. He was asking again for another time how to say cheers in Swahili. He's making jokes, he's fooling around, so a lot of distraction from so that the candidates wouldn't concentrate on Bram. Yeah, so also weird, suspicious behavior, I think. And last but not least, we also had Quinty, who in the end, at least it seemed like that, made a very quick decision in the name of the group for which theory they would decide when Rick wanted to know what their answer would be. So all in all, pretty suspicious behavior here, I would say. Right after the dinner, we also got an interesting scene between Dan and Bram. We know that they have a bond here, that they're in a group, that they are working together, actually also with Milan, but in this case, we only got to see the two of them, and actually I also think they are closer, and that their connection just is closer than their connection with Milan is. And Bram shares one of his 2 jokers that he just won in the dinner task. And that is weird for a candidate, because yeah, I know, I get the whole thing about that he wants both of them to stay longer in the game together and get as far as possible as team, which can be an explanation for his behavior and for his decision. But if you're a candidate, this is bad for you in two ways, actually. Because one joker means that you definitely have one question correctly in the test. That this one question is counted correctly. With two, you have two questions definitely correct. With giving away one joker, you do not only lose one of the two definitely correct answered questions, but you also give this advantage to one of your opponents. So now there was not one person with one correct answer or two, but there were two persons with one. So it's actually bad in two ways for yourself. And the question is, I get the whole team thing, but in the end, yeah, they are not winning this as a team. And if you're bad at answering the other questions, then this one question can decide if you leave the game or not. So would a candidate really share Joker, is the question here? And also, the whole talk, the whole conversation between the two of them was interesting, because I think that Bram wanted to share the two Jokers, but Dan also kind of initiated that. So you could also think about if Bram actually wanted to share, it probably didn't want to share and then felt the pressure to share. Yeah, I think I wanted to share, but I also accept it if you see it in a different way. I also accept all of your thoughts, but you get what I mean. Yeah. And with that, let's have a quick look at task number 2, which started with the water carrying, which went really well. The girls were doing an amazing job here. Then we had the throwing, which especially in Dan's case went not that well. I think he made himself very suspicious in this task. Also later on with the jumping. First of all, he threw way too much in the left direction, and later then in the jumping he jumped way too fast, way too early several times. I think also not high enough, so that was suspicious. And Quinty also was suspicious when it came to the photos, because she switched positions with Ninka and then had the mobile in her hands, and even though time was ticking, she took the time to check the photos, and with that probably deleted, or at least had the chance to delete some of the photos, which a more probably would want to do if there were a lot of faces to be seen in the photo. And then, yeah, they had to carry the wood for the campfire, and we know that not all of those wood pieces would make it to Rick, I would say now, and we didn't see it, but I couldn't imagine that in the last episode of this season we will see a scene in which the mole just throws away some of those wooden pieces. Like, that's an easy way to mole here, I guess. And then, last but not least, we had the task with the, story about colors. And of course, I get Evelyn, who didn't want to share her advantage here, which was pretty huge advantage, I would say. So, lucky Evelyn. And then we had there were two very weird things, because we know in the end that Rick asked some questions, and there's one thing I didn't hear, maybe I just misheard it, but one of his questions was for which they use the colors with the patterns on them, and in the end the answer was that they use it to describe animals, but I didn't hear that in the stories that we got to hear from Evelyn and the others, so maybe this part was missing as well. And then of course, after this task, something interesting was happening during the test, because Matteo gets the question, how many words do they have in Dutch for the basic colors? And the answer is 11. And yes, Milan did tell him that. But the group who answered the questions, so also Matteo, in the end decided not to share which questions Rick had asked them, not to share what they had answered, not to share what they had correctly or what they had right and what not. So no information for the others, including Milan. But then we see Milan sitting down, taking his test, and we hear him say, oh, I know that I said that there were 11 words to Matteo. He uses other words, but in the, you know what I mean. He basically said he did give the right information about how many colors they have in Dutch, how many words they have in Dutch for colors to Matteo. And here comes the thing. How did Milan know that there was this question at all? How did he know that Matteo had given an incorrect answer to that question? We don't know that. We didn't get to see that as viewers of the show. So the most likely answer I have to this is that because he has a bondje, a group with Dan and Bram, who both were in that last group, that they did share this information with him. But to be honest, I don't know it correctly because we didn't get to see that. So that's an option. Other option is that Milan's the mole and he got to know that. And with that, we had a little hint to Milan here. But yeah, it is a bit weird, I would say. But let me know in the comments below what you think about it. And last but not least for this video, I want to end with a little hidden hint to Bram, because Bram's birthday is on the 12th of August, and that also is the day of the elephant. And as you know from my last video, but also from this episode number 6, in which we also got to see elephants in the background again, those statues while they were doing tests, then you know that elephants are well coming back in this season again and again. So maybe, and if you think about the first episode about those elephant of Troya, of how you want to call it, then there was a really big elephant. So elephants really are something we can see in a lot of episodes this time. So maybe a hint to Bram here. Yeah, and that were a lot of hints and theories to episode number 6. Let me know in the comments below what you've seen and what I haven't mentioned here yet, and also who you think is your main suspicious person at the moment. I haven't entirely decided yet, but I have to say that Dan is really suspicious. So yeah, Dan probably is the top one I have at the moment. Not ruling out others at the moment as well, but Dan is, the most suspicious one, I think, at the moment. Yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about that, and I hope to see you all back next week when we will talk about episode number 7. Until then, bye!